Hello, and welcome to my overview of how to use the Separation Anxiety Pro Trainer training app. This application is wonderful and available on all kinds of platforms. So it's not an application that you download in the App Store, but you can make an icon on your home screen of your phone or your tablet and have direct access to it in the exact same way. Or if you prefer to use a computer, you can use a computer. You can actually also log in on multiple devices with this application, which is great because it allows you a little bit more flexibility while you're doing your exercises. So when you log in, you will see a screen just like this. And so it will say hello, you and your dog, and the progress that you have will be highlighted. So here you kind of just see, how many exercises you've done where you've aced it, how many have gone okay, maybe how many you've struggled. Now, don't get too bogged down in these. If you are working with a trainer like myself, we're going to help you get as many aced it and okays as possible. Now, this video is going to provide an overview of what it's like when you are working with a trainer. I do have another video for if you are utilizing the application on its own. So here we can see on our home screen. So down at the bottom, we have our menu, and you can see the best duration that you've had. So when you're starting fresh, you won't have this information there. It'll be blank, but it'll be a nice home screen for you in the future. What you will be using mostly on this application is this training button here. And we'll spend the majority of the time there, but I'll just go through the rest of the buttons for you to be able to see. History is your overall progress. So you'll get to see kind of all the exercises you've done, how they have gone. And then if you go and you click here, you'll see your progress charted overall, which is really important. Data tracking is critical for separation anxiety training. And so it's nice to have the application summarize it for you nicely. There's also a chat feature. Now this chats directly with the trainer that you are set up with. For my clients, I don't recommend using the chat just because I don't get any notifications. With my clients, you will have access to reach me on WhatsApp instead. Activity here is a nice new feature in this updated version where you kind of see where you'll get your badges. So we've gone ahead and gotten the app a bit gamified, which is kind of fun. And then your goals and streaks that you've been going on. And then finally, your settings. If you want to edit profile, your family members' information, and so on, you can go in here. The rest of this video is going to focus on this training section. So this video is really going to walk you through how to utilize this application for training with a trainer. So you have two options here. There's the doors of bore and departures. Now, depending where you're starting, you may never use the doors of bore. This is really something that is utilized for some dogs, but not all dogs. All dogs, though, will end up using departures. I'll quickly do an overview of doors of bore. So if you have some exercises set up here, you'll click. And really, it's quite simple. There's a number of steps that your trainer will have assigned for you. And then you just click on that step. It tells you what to do. So walk to the door, turn, depress door handle, return. You're going to hit go. And essentially, you're going to do these repetitions. And every repetition that you do, you're going to click. Now, you do not need to do 10 repetitions. Maybe you only have a few minutes, so you're just getting a few done. That's okay. You hit complete exercise. And then this is really critical. It automatically logs your time. So as long as you're logging this at the time that you're doing it, it's fine. Otherwise, you do need to update this. Time can be a factor for dogs with separation anxiety. So it is an important variable to track. It's also very important that you select how your dog did. So aced it is a dog who really didn't struggle. They may have still followed you to the door, but they're not showing signs of stress. They're just like, what's going on? Okay. Okay is kind of, is borderline. Your dog didn't totally ace it, but didn't fall apart either. So lastly, struggled is, I think, pretty obvious. If your dog really struggled with it, they're going to be anxious, maybe whining, panting, pacing, all the signs of stress that you've kind of been educated to look out for. So in that case, you would select struggled. Now, notes are important. So if you're working with a trainer, or even if you're doing it solo, it's just important to kind of keep notes of how things are going. So write down your observations there, and then you hit save. Now you can see it brings you to your training history. You see your doors of 4 activities. Now here in the training, we'll go back and we'll go look at departures, all right? And so over here we can select our training plan. So a couple things to note on this. So we've always logged the last target duration that we went and then the last actual. So sometimes if things don't go well, you'll see your last targeted duration is one number and this number is lower. That's okay, one day at a time. And below, what's really important is you'll see instructions from your trainer. So if you're working with a trainer like myself, you'll see instructions, for example, like this capture here, which it basically says, just a couple of reminders as to how to execute the training. Now, selecting a training plan, most of the time, if you're working with a trainer, they'll just be one at a time. There might be multiple if your trainers may be customizing plans for certain people in the household, or perhaps even if your trainer's gone on holidays, because we do take breaks too, they might have a number of plans for you to work through as well. So you would just kind of pick the one you want. Here, there's only one, and it's going to show you the new target, the number of scenarios, the warm up, and we hit go. Now at the top, what's really nice, and again, you can be logged in on your computer and on your phone for this, which I really like, because there's an integrated timer. So, our first duration is 16 seconds. We can start the timer as soon as we're out the door. And that's really, really helpful because you have everything on one page. You don't need to switch pages to the timer on your phone or even look at your watch if that's what you're using. Now, it's really important with separation anxiety training, and if you're working with me, you'll have heard this in our kickoff session, that you use a timer and do not count, just because we are kind of unreliable with counting. Now, you've done, let's say, your first step, gotten the 16 seconds. There's a little box that pops up below that says notes. So here's where you would write how my dog did. So you would put details on what you saw while you were observing on your video camera. Now, once you're done that first step, it's important that you hit the little check mark, because that allows you to go to the next step. Now, if you click the little button, you can see kind of right there, there's a little X or plus, turns into an X. It just allows you to open that note box. If you are seeing kind of the same body language every time, you can just write same as above, but every step should have some sort of log for body language. Now, you have to go through every step. These are all warm-ups, heading up for your challenge duration at the bottom. The last step is always kind of the challenge duration. So what is difficult? So you should add notes for that step as well. And then you hit complete exercise. Now, once again, you have to make sure that the time is logged properly. And then you're going to have to rate your exercise. So if your dog aced it, you aced it. Awesome job. Then I want you to also add notes right here. So in the instructions for the exercise, for my clients, I always include what I would like for them to note. It's really important to note things like things that are out of usual. So let's say there's construction noises in your building that day, or maybe the mailman showed up mid-exercise. Those are the kinds of things you need to log. It's also helpful to log information on how much exercise your dog has had that day, who participated in the exercise, and so on. So these are just variables that can have an impact in separation anxiety training. Once you've logged all that, you hit save and you are done. And then if you have unlocked a new achievement, the application will notify you of that, which is pretty cool. It does bring you back to this history page. Now, this history page can be helpful to check out before you start sometimes, because if you see this little box over here, or a little bubble, I should say, if you click that, that's actually feedback from me or the trainer you're working with. So sometimes we'll add a little note of feedback. It's up to you to kind of go and look at it, but it's right there. in the training history log. So it could be a good place for you to start. For myself and other trainers, if there's something really critical, most of us are putting that in your training right here that you'll see. So that is the basics of how to use the application. And as you can see, our best duration has now increased because we've upped it with this exercise. Now we also have something in the week. And overall, again, our trend is continuing up, which is awesome. So if you struggle with this application, you can always check in with me if you were my client, or check in with your client if you're working with another trainer. And hopefully you enjoy using this application as much as we do.